YouTube, how's it going? John here at Herman Woodworks. Took a couple days off. Got to get a video up here. Got to get back to it. As you can tell, I look a little sleeker. Anybody that follows the channel, I do land surveying for my actual profession, and it's tick season here in Ohio. Early spring and fall, little buggers are bad news bears. I just pulled one out of my, crawling up my neck today. Dislike them. But anyways, moral of it, let's get back to it. So what we're going to tackle today is sharpening the chain on this, my MS461. I've been using it a lot. Want to touch it up. It's not very dull, but I like to, after I'm done using it for a day or so, give it a glide over with the files. So let's go over that, how that's done. There's endless videos out there on it, and everybody's is better than the other. I'm no pro, but I use my chains till I can't use them anymore. So, and they seem to cut. So let's go over it and see how you think. All right, first things first, let's go over some of the actual basics of the actual chain here. So this is your cutting tooth. This is your cutting edge. This low area in here is your gullet, and these are your rakers. At least on the Stihl chains, and I'm sure Husky, is probably the exact same way. If you look at the top of these teeth, let's see if I can get my camera to focus. Let me just keep using this pointer because my finger's too fat. This is your wear line. If you sharpen this back to that point, time to throw the chain away. On the sides, I'm having a horrible time here. On the sides, on your rakers, this is the same thing. It's a wear line. If you get down past that, time to get a new one. Chains aren't that expensive. They do. They add up. So anyhow. All right, so this is the kit that I got when I picked up this MS461. You're going to need a pack of, I don't know, most people call them round files or rat tail files. Get a pack, get a couple packs. You're going to use them a lot, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of sawing. Here's your file. I wanted the rat tail files in with the guide. This is for when you're going to eventually have to flat file the rakers. It's a guide to check them, and then the flat file to do so. So let's go over that. First, I'll show you how to check your rakers. A lot of people never make it to this point because a lot of people trash their chains or whatever. So this a lot of times gets skipped. And to be honest, it takes a while before you actually have to do your rakers. So you're going to take this guide and you're going to sit it flat on top of your chain here. And you can kind of see where this little hump is. That is going to sit just in front. And then you can kind of see that that raker is in the front there. And what you're going to do is hold this down on top of the bar, and you're going to look across. And when I'm looking like this, you think you can see it, but then when you look down and come across that, the raker is not protruding up yet. This is a pretty new chain, so I knew I wasn't going to have to do those, but I just wanted to show in an instant, if you did, as your tooth gets cut back, focus, there we go. As that tooth gets cut back, you see it'll drop down, and then that's when you'll have to start actually flat filing these rakers to get it down. What'll happen if your rakers are too high, you are just going to be basically making powder. This tooth isn't going to be engaging and actually stripping out material. So yeah, if you start making powder, either your teeth are getting real dull, and or you need to bring your rakers down. All right, so for the next part, I use this guide. Stihl makes it. I think Husqvarna makes their own one now too. They have one where you can be actually doing the rakers and like 2 teeth at a time. I don't have one of those. I like doing this myself. So from the power head, of the saw, to me, you're always going to be, I end up doing 2 swipes. You're always, to me, I'm always going kind of out from the saw. So for these ones, like for this side, I'm going to come across with this one, and then this one, and then this one. So usually a lot of chains, in this case, here's a lot of them come with the link where they put it together. Some guys like to use marker or nail polish, whatever, and they mark it on their chain. That way they always pick a good starting point. That way as they're working the chain around, they know where they started and where to leave off at. So when you're taking this file comes marked with, like I said, this 30-degree line. That's the angle that these are designed for. So I'm trying to get this here. So yeah, when you run this through, you want that line to stay parallel with your bar. You're going to be pushing it in to the gullet so that the top of this round is just cutting that cutting tooth. You're not doing anything else. You're not pushing down. You're just kind of pushing back. You don't got to put a ton of pressure on this. People get a little carried away, especially if you're just doing this, you know, after a tank of gas or after a day of cutting. You know, it's only going to be a couple of swipes. You're not looking to just re-hog out that like crazy. Just a couple bit. Good sharp file, do the trick. So let me get this camera set up and let's hop to that. All right, for doing this, you can barehand it, but I recommend wearing a pair of gloves so that when you're on this, if you make a quick little slip, hopefully you'll save some skin. The thicker the glove, the better. So have this facing you guys. So like I said, I'm always going kind of out. So I always pick, what I do, the way I do it, I only do one side. I'll go through, do all the teeth like this, the one side, and then the other teeth, I'll go through and do that all. That way I'm not missing any. So here's my paint mark. And like I said, you're just looking for that 30-degree line to keep it parallel with this bar. And don't go back and forth, back and forth. You just out, lift it, come back through, out. And some people will just work the chain. I work this around like this. That way I can kind of keep the file right here so I'm not reaching out too far. Every once in a while, tap it. Maybe a lot of times I'll spin the file a little bit, get a fresh side. If you got an air compressor, blow some of that out, or wire brush to clean it. All right, so that gets me back to my paint mark. So now the teeth that are angled out this way, now I'm going to go through and do all those. So flip obviously the file around so that I'm going to be filing out that way. All right, that does it on that. And like I said, and there you have it. Like I said, the only part you're really sharpening is this top cutting edge and just into here, into that gullet. Just freshening that up, just getting that good crisp line. Like I said, a lot of people get real carried away. This is the only part right here, this cutting edge. That's the part that's got to be sharp. Obviously this end, when that file's going through there, that's rounding that all in, but that's what you want it to do. All right, YouTube, that does it. Just a quick little tutorial on sharpening the chain on this. I'm going to do a second part about cleaning this thing up because right now it's a pig. I want to blow all the dust off of it and that. So stay tuned for another video. I'll end up doing like I said, the maintenance on this. But if you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe. As always, thanks for everyone. I really appreciate all the views on some of my other videos. If you guys haven't got to watch some of my others, check them out. But thanks again, and I'll talk to everyone soon.